Flosstube. It's Arlene. It is Friday, December 3rd, 2021. Here we are, last month of the year, which is kind of weird to say. I just thought I'd pop in for a little visit. I meant to look it up, but I think it's been some number of weeks since I did a video. A lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of my stitching these days are models for my designs, and I'm not quite showing them until I'm ready to release the design. So there's a side of me that's like, well, I know so many Flosstube videos, people have a whole bunch of stitching that they're sharing and the projects they've worked on in the last week or 2 weeks or whatever. And but if you're here, I'm thinking it's because you're okay with not necessarily seeing a whole parade of stitching projects. Anyway, if you are here, thank you so much. I know there are so many Flosstube channels to choose from, and we all only have, 24 hours in the day. So I appreciate you coming to see me. We still have December 3rd, so still, over 4 weeks left of the month, but soon enough, it's going to be 2022. And we all know the last couple of years have not been the easiest on any given individual, on the world in general. Boy, is it nice to try and think about things to look forward to. I've got some stitchy things planned out for 2022 that I'm not even going to try to go there in terms of, and I hope they happen. We can't predict the direction of the world at any given time, but I'm certainly planning on being at. So in the first weekend of April is going to be Stitch North, which is a stitching event retreat up in Canada, Stitch North, put on by Caroline from Off the Grid Needle Arts. If that appeals to you, check out her she's done a lot of videos where she's talked about the whole registration process, and there's a Facebook group and so on. So while I believe the majority of the people going are from Canada, I think there's a fair number of Americans traveling north as well. Just looking forward to that time of just sitting for a couple of days with friends and stitching and making new friends and seeing what other people are stitching on and all of it. So that's the first weekend in April. And then go forward some months from there to July is when I'll be running my New Jersey Flosstube retreat. It is July 21st through 24th. It's full now, but I only have a very small waiting list. And my experience in running this retreat in the past is that, separate from any COVID, health issues, in the other years, there have been people that have had to drop out for any number of reasons, and I go to my wait list and get the next name off the list. So if you are interested in knowing a little bit more, you can go back and watch my last video. I know it says New Jersey Flosstube Retreat in the description. And there's all kinds of information there. I'll also put a link down below how, if you wanted to get on the wait list, how to do that, and the email address to get more information about it. So those are two stitching retreat events that I'm looking forward to in 2022. But before either of those happen, I have another pretty major stitching event coming up, and that will be being an exhibitor at the Nashville Needlework Market this year. I went as a visitor in 2020, which was so helpful to just see in action how this works. And it was literally just a week later when the world started shutting down. So had that been scheduled, 1 week later, who knows? Anyway, so I was able to be there in Nashville in 2020. I was scheduled, registered and everything to be an exhibitor for 2021, canceled. And so now I am a scheduled, registered, money's been paid exhibitor for 2022. So a lot of my stitching has been building towards, or working in a timeline backwards. I need to have these done by such and such date. I need to make sure I'm getting the things done that I'm looking forward to sharing. Every designer has their own style. And I think there's some designers that have a very distinct style, and other designers that are a little more eclectic. Obviously, if you are a 100% full-on reproduction sampler design company, well, that's your thing. If you are a smalls series, cutesy, whatever it is, primitive, geometric, whatever your style is, sometimes sometimes you could see a pattern and know immediately, oh, that's got to be so and so. I don't know if anyone can necessarily look at my patterns and say that, just because I feel like I have a variety. I have a whole bunch of my lace designs, and I've shared those with you here. I have a number of designs that are inspired by old pattern books, and we're talking like centuries old pattern books. I have a lot of geometrical designs. I have some others that are just don't fall under any category. So my goal in planning out designs to release for market is about, here's a little bit of me, here's a little bit of this, and a little bit, these are the different kinds of things that I put out there, and I will hope some store owners and some stitchers are interested. I just last weekend finished one model and have already been immediately picked up the next one because fabric, threads, design, it's all ready to go. I know the whole question about model stitchers, while that certainly has its advantage, timing wise and all of that, I have yet to kind of consider that seriously for myself, only because almost every design that I've been stitching, I've changed in some way from how I originally thought it was going to be when I started. More often than not, it's colors or threads, but it's also been, where the X's go. So the idea of me saying, okay, here's a design, fabric, thread, and mailing that off to somebody for them to stitch it, it's not quite me as of now. I mean, who knows? Who knows what the future will bring? We'll see. So let me just go ahead and say this. So the design I just finished stitching, which I may or may not have mentioned the last time, I use DMC overdyed thread. And just a quick little conversation about DMC's overdyed threads, because I recently had a great conversation with someone in my LNS about this. If you don't own one of these DMC real thread color cards, get one. I mean, it's not just designers that can say this is so useful. But anyway, if you look on, it doesn't fold, which is fine. It doesn't fold very easily. If you look at what is the last page of the threads that you see in these columns right here are the overdyes that came out in the last few years. I mean, they also came out with a line called Coloris, or it's COLORIS, and those are not in here. I believe that all of the ones that I'm showing here fall under their overdyed threads, and the Coloris ones have multiple colors in them. And the one time I tried using one of those, I didn't like it because the color shifts were so abrupt. So I don't think any of that colors came out after this, is what I think. But there are also these right here. And for lack of better words, I call them the original DMC overdyes. They've been around a lot longer than these guys. And many of them are 2-digit numbers, which alone makes that unusual for DMC. The regular DMCs don't have 2-digit numbers, other than the new ones that came out 1 through 35. Okay, and then there are some 1-digit numbers that slowly creep toward whatever the first official number is, which I have the thing right in front of me. After 35, and then you have the single digits that go into 22. Okay, so 150 is the lowest number of regular DMC thread, not counting the 1 through 35. I'm probably making no sense to you all. It doesn't matter about DMC numbers. The point is, relatively newer overdyes, slightly older overdyes. For me, these are not as easy to get. In my Michaels and Joann's, which are my two places to typically go, they have never carried these. My Michaels carries these, but I know I recently had a conversation with a stitcher who said that her Michaels did not. So, making no assumptions here. I usually don't shop at Hobby Lobby, so I'm not sure the what you can find there, but I know I can get them at my L&S if, the certain color that I want is in. So I'm sharing with you all this to say is that I used this 115 for the project that I just finished. So I'm not going to share with you now, but I'll be sharing with you soon after 2022 starts, because I saw a friend stitching with it on a monochrome project, and I just loved it, especially knowing, even though this is a DMC thread that is not as easy to find, there's something in me that wants to, I want to balance my designs between specialty threads and DMC to show that there's some beautiful things that could be made with DMC. So the one thing that I did see in her project, which looked beautiful for her project, is that some of the red in here came out, I don't know if you can see that or not, to be awfully bright, to me anyway. And at the first point where I started to get that as I was beginning the stitching of this project, I was like, yeah, don't like that. So I started taking skeins and cutting out, I've already thrown away everything, but cutting out the bright parts. And so this is what I had left over after I finished from the last skein that I cut. I did measure it at one point. And these are, DMC's what? 8 meters, 8.7 yards. And I had cut out a good, like over 2 yards. So I knew for every skein, I was losing about 25% of it, which was fine. I just know I need to make sure to include that piece of information when I put together the pattern. So this is a very long way of me saying, give DMC overdyes a try and recognize. So this, I know when I was trying to make the decision about the color, this is, quote, one of the original DMCs. This is, quote, one of the newer ones. Now, I know this is coming across looking very pink. There's definitely pink and red in here, but I don't know if you're really seeing much of the red. This you could definitely see is very red. But for another project, this might have been the perfect thing. I did last year, one of my releases for the March Expo was done completely in this DMC thread. Again, one of the newer ones. And I love the color combination in this, which is blues and purples. It's worth exploring if you have the opportunity, if your stores carry these, just take a look, because you just don't know what you might find unless you look for it. So there was my little DMC PSA for the day. I got to look at the right little piece of paper here. So mentioning my Nashville releases and sort of backtracking from that, I actually have planned out a very special pattern that I will be releasing most likely in January. And there's a reason why I'm not holding it until March Nashville, and you will completely understand when I get the chance to share it with you and explain. It is completely stitched. It's at the framers right now. I am hoping I do another Flosstube video maybe at the end of this month during my winter break time, when there are a lot of things going on in my teaching life and my life outside teaching over the next few weeks, as it is for many people in the month of December. And so the list I have of things to do during winter break keeps getting longer and longer. But anyway, I had thought about something I was going to include a video today, and I'm like, this take too long. I'll save it for a separate video. So I'm hoping I'll do that video at the end of, in a few weeks. And then in January, I will have a special release to share with you. It has been a while since I've done this, but I want to offer a giveaway. So if you are interested in getting a free Works by ABC pattern. All right, I didn't start this right. Way back first minute, I should have said, hi, if you're new here. I design cross stitch and other black work and some canvas work, but mostly cross stitch patterns. And my design company is called Works by ABC. You can find me on Etsy. And well, as through distributors, you'll also find me at your local store. I am giving a giveaway. I'm feeling a little out of it today, so bear with me here. I wanted to do a giveaway, which I will do in January when I am sharing a new pattern. It'll be for any one of my patterns. It does not have to be that one that I'll be introducing, so I will give the opportunity to choose whatever you want, whether you want it as a paper copy or PDF, because I have both options. Might even do 2, maybe 3 people. We'll see. So if you are interested in entering the giveaway, I didn't think this part out. Well, leave a comment down below and use 2022. Now, I hope you're going to use it in a positive way. Something along the lines of, I hope 2022 is better for all of us, or looking forward to anyway, use 2022, the year 2022, in your comment, and you will be entered for a giveaway for any of my works by ABC Patterns. And I will be announcing that in my January video, where I'll be sharing a brand new pattern that I'm really excited about. I mentioned, oh, nope, gotta follow my list here. Today is the 3rd. On the 1st, so just on Wednesday, something kind of exciting happened for me. I know I've shared in the past this design. I mean, it's circular. It doesn't even really matter which way I hold it. It is called Rosette, and I stitched it to be a class, an online studio class that is offered through EGA, Embroiderers Guild of America. And so Wednesday, December 1st, was the opening of registration. And I think registration is open for 6 or so weeks, and then you, now I'm going to forget the actual dates of the class, but I mean, it's a few months from now because of the way the registration works. So if you are in any way interested in learning more about this, I'll put a link to EGA down below. I have never really participated in much related to EGA in terms of like regular meetings or even many of the educational opportunities. I've never been to one of their big yearly seminars. But there's some interesting things to be found on their website, very interesting things to be found in the magazine that comes out. So, hey, look at it, give it a try, or look at it. But anyway, so this class, which is it's on linen, but stitched using stitches that are usually found on canvas work. So a little bit of exploration from that perspective. So it's exciting that this has finally started, or at least the beginning parts of it has finally started. I'm leaving little notes for myself all over the place. Okay, back up a second. Related to the idea of different stitches and different types of needlework, if you've been around, you know that I do a lot more than just cross stitch. Cross stitch has definitely been a very focused part of my stitching world in these last few years as I have been a designer. But that doesn't mean I've been 100% solely doing cross stitch. And I've shared with you some, I know last year I was working on a hardanger piece. I did a needle painting piece. The different things that I love to do. I subscribed on YouTube to Sarah Humphrey Embroidery. I think there must have been some point where I was, for some reason, had found her and was watching something specific, maybe a tutorial or something, and I hit subscribe. And I don't know how much I've actually gone back to watch any of her others, but she just came out with one a week or 2 ago, maybe longer, that caught my eye in terms of looking at, subscriptions, videos from YouTube subscriptions. That was about 18 different types of embroidery. Well, that intrigued me. I'll put a link to this video below. And what she goes through them very quickly. Even in her description box, she tells you, timestamps for each of them. So you can look to see what she's listed. She's British, and so there's some aspects of what she says. And she starts right from the beginning. This is not the only 18 embroidery types that exist. There are many, especially around the world. Some very regional things, very historic things. And she said she's mostly focusing on the kinds of things you would find in the UK and England, in a lot of European areas. I could say, depending exactly on how you count things, I have done 10 or 11 out of her 18 that are listed. And one of them that I haven't done kind of appeals to me, but I think it might be too challenging to find the materials. But I actually haven't looked too much into it. But anyway, when you've heard me talk about enjoying different types of needlework and you're kind of curious, well, just how many are there? This list of 18, well, again, not all encompassing, might be a place for you to take. She has examples of each of them. I just found it an interesting video and wanted to share with you. Next thing to share. I love going to used book sales, and I've shared finds with you in the past. Pre-COVID, for many, many, many years, I have volunteered at a very large used book sale that happens near me once a year. I am in charge of the crafts section, or excuse me, hobbies section. And if you think about it, that's a pretty broad category, because when I'm unpacking the books, they collect books all year round, and then the sale happens in March. When I'm unpacking boxes that are labeled hobbies, sure, I'll find some needlework. I'll find crocheting and knitting. I'll find painting and drawing. There will be crossword puzzles. There will be woodworking. I mean, so it's a huge category. It's a little bit of a dump all kinds of things. The sale was canceled for 2021, but they are revving up to have it in 2022. I went to a book sale, not this one that I worked at, a few weeks back, and I think I went to 2 others so far this year, since things have started to open up a bit. And the other 2, nothing exciting. I love the treasure hunt. And if I have the time and it's a weekend or something like that, a little drive, and you never know what you're going to find. So this one, I actually found a few things. I have a few other things besides needlework. I'm only going to show the needlework things. Some of you may be familiar with this book, American Samplers by F.L. Stanwood Bolton and Eva Johnson Coe. It appears that the original version of this was from 1920. This book right here is a copyright of 1973. I Googled it. You could easily find it online. It's not an out of print thing by any means. It's a listing. With as well as information. But there's a whole listing of samplers from the 1700s and 1800s. American samplers. Now, I have not explored it enough to know, is it possible to do all of them? No, it is not. But how did they choose the ones that went in here? Because it's a thick book. There's a lot in here. And I picked it up, brought it up here to share with you on my video, but I haven't actually looked too much into it. So I will maybe have some more to report. But maybe you're familiar with this. And if not, if you are a sampler lover, maybe it's something you want to look into. And I should say, the needlework section was really small. And so to have found 4 things among what they had there, not too bad. Sometimes the little ones are good finds. Elizabethan embroidery. This is from the Victoria and Albert Museum. It's just a little background and some pictures, but, a little, I think they charged me 50 cents for this. Yep, 50 cents. It's fun to find these kinds of things. And somewhat similar, so this is also from the V&A. This was a specific exhibit, or the catalog for a specific exhibit. And I know I was drawn to this front cover because these kind of etchings, printings, art-wise, I'm not sure what you call it, but this kind of stuff I've seen a lot when I've been looking through old pattern books, again, centuries old pattern books, to see for patterns. Like here's one right here, like that. That is the cover of one of these old pattern books. And I bet if I take a moment, I should take time now to see what the image is on the front. I'm sure that also comes from one of these early pattern books. Anyway, and then the 4th thing, which it's not about the designs, it's about the idea of it. 3D cross stitch. And you could see that what she has on the front cover are little houses, but she also has a few other 3-dimensional things in here. And at first I was like, this isn't my style of stitching. But then I started looking about the assembly directions. And what is doing something like this, where my brain is thinking, oh, I need to have, map board or cards like map board and cut to specific sizes, and it's the cutting that becomes a problem, blah, blah, blah. What she uses in here, I thought I had it out, is like plastic canvas, like that 7-10 count plastic canvas you did when you were a little kid kind of thing, which I was like, that's way easier to cut than map board. to be shapes like this. So I want to explore a little bit of the idea. Again, she's got little houses, she's got vases. That's a piggy bank. And so it's just an interesting concept that may or may not become something for me. This book is from 1999, and the author is Meg Evershed. So those are my finds from my book sale a few weeks ago. If you've been around with me for a while, you know that another one of my passions and loves is bobbin lace. So in addition to needlework, all the needlework things I do with needle in hand, I've also do lace making. I'll be honest, I have not mentioned it in a Flosstube video in a long time because I haven't been working on it in a long time. I mean, for the whole pandemic, I haven't done anything, and even some months before then. And I love all of it. It's like anything else, interest ebbs and flows. And partially because there's been so much focus on my design business and the needlework side. But I belong to 2 lace organizations, and I get their quarterly magazines, and this is one of them. This came a week or 2 ago. OIDFA it's French, Organisation Internationale Dentelle Fuseau, and I forget, and there's some other things in there. But it's basically the International Organization of Bobbin and Needle Lace. The A word is needle. Dentelle is the French word for lace. And so, I do enjoy looking at them. And this, like both of these magazines, offer patterns. I mean, there's a lot of other, and this one is done in both French and English. There's articles from countries in this one around the world. And I saw this. And I was like, wow, that's cool. I've done a couple of other kind of 3-dimensional lace things, which I could share at some point. But I looked at this. It's basically, where am I? 5 pieces. The style of lace is called Idria, which comes from Slovenia. I'd taken a class on this. It doesn't require a lot of bobbins. It is 6-8 bobbins, 6 or 8 pairs, which is nothing compared to projects that I've had with like 150 pairs. Not joking there. So this got me a little bit more excited about bobbin lace than I've been in a long time. So I admit, I put it on my maybe during winter break to-do list that I might start this project. Now, you know how when you're stitching and you have, let's say, 4 sets of Q-snaps, but you are somebody that has 25 whips. And so you don't necessarily keep a set of Q-snaps with every whip. I mean, I suppose there's some people that might, but instead you take them off and you put them on whenever you need them. So bobbin lace pillows are and are not the same. To do bobbin lace, needle lace is different, but to do bobbin lace, you need a pillow. And I didn't take one out to show you right now. But the difference is if you want to put that project away, it doesn't come off your pillow. It stays on the pillow. So if you want to have 25 lace projects going on, you need 25 bobbin lace pillows. And I'll tell you, they take up way more room than 25 sets of Q-snaps or 25 hoops or whatever. And so I have 3 pillows plus a smaller one. So I guess it's technically 4 pillows. And I have projects that are just sitting there on 2 of them. And the third one is a very large pillow that I wouldn't want to use for this. So I haven't figured out exactly what that means. Am I going to cut off one of those projects? I don't know. But I am hoping by the fact that I truly did get excited to see this and to read the instructions and to say, yeah, I think I can do that. I'm glad for that little bit of excitement again about lace. And I hopefully maybe will be working on it during winter break and might have more to share with you then. And another thing that got me a little more excited about lace, I had recently ordered this book. It was the kind of thing that, I have tons of lace books, and this one is not patterns. This is a history and identification book. And it's a brand new book. I know, not personally, but I know these 2 women have definitely met and had conversations, Jean Leader. And it is just such a beautiful book about how to identify the different types of lace. And just like in needlework, when I say I've loved doing different types of needlework, I have also tried different types of lace. Save lace conversation for a whole nother time. But there are some aspects that I could look at some things and say, oh, that's a torchon lace piece. Oh, that's an Idria lace piece. But there's plenty of others that I could not do that with. And it's not to say I'm going to become an expert by reading this book, but I just like to have this as another little reference. A lot of the books you see behind me, these three shelves are my lace books. There's a lot of them. Needlework is over there. There's a little bit of quilting. There's also two other shelves over there, smaller ones, that also have more needlework books. But I do have a large collection of lace books. That's I realized this when I was packing up. If you haven't followed my journey, I moved this past spring. And just how is it that I had so many lace books? For at least 5 years, it might have been even longer, when my parents would say, what would you like as a Hanukkah gift? In wanting to support small businesses and also just wanting, anyway, I had them get me a gift certificate to basically the largest lace supplier person in the US. And I would see her at conventions and lace days and so on. And so I knew I'd have the opportunity to spend that at least one event, if not two different events during the year. And it's really because of those gift certificates over those years. I mean, plus, eBay and other sources, but it's how I've gotten so many. My parents both passed away in the summer of 2018. And that following, I guess it was spring, the first time I was at a lace day, and the supplier was there, and she knew my dad got in contact with her every year. And she actually said, we didn't hear from your dad this year. And I don't think she was asking that from a, how come he didn't give us your business kind of thing. I think she was just genuinely. And when I shared why, she was really sweet about it, I think she was dealing with her own elderly parents and some issues down the line there. But it's nice to know when someone acknowledges something. We didn't hear from your dad this year for a gift certificate. Anyway, I think it's because of those gift certificates of wanting to support her business, as get some good stuff out of it, that my lace book collection is as large as it is. Because lace books are not what I usually find at used book sales. It's all the other stuff. I am fully aware that this has been a very light in showing stitching kind of video. And again, I know plenty of people watch Flosstubes because they want to see stitching projects. And if you are still here with me, thank you so much. If you're still being here is showing me that, hey, there's other things to be interested in Flosstube videos besides whip parades and finishes and so on. So I've had some finishes, which I will be excited to share with you soon enough. Reminder, if you want to be entered in a giveaway to win one of my patterns, just in your comment, something about 2022. I hope you all have a good holiday season. We all need some love and joy in our world. Peace, hope. So whatever you do during December or whenever for celebrating, thank you so much for being here. Till next time.